It's that time of the week. Paul Perillo joins us from Patriots.com, also known as Sunshine.com. So coined by the late, great Eddie Duckworth?
I'm not sure about the first part of that,
Eddie,
but definitely great.
If you're still there, great man.
Yes.
One of the great all-time Patriots reporters, Providence Journal, if I'm not mistaken.
They had a crew down there of guys that was here forever that is unique.
Oh, my God. That was a solid crew. No doubt about it. Anyway, how's it going, Paulie Paul?
It's going better for me probably than the team, but yeah.
Yeah, how do you feel about your team right now?
I mean, I kind of tried to talk to you guys a little bit last Thursday.
You tried to tell us so. I know.
It was a short week on the road, rookie coaching staff that hadn't really dealt with that a little bit. And I also think home opener for the Jets. I thought there'd be some passion on that side of it. I'm not telling you I called the blowout. I thought it would be a little bit lower score. I didn't think the Jets would have as much success offensively, but I thought it was a tough spot for the Patriots.
Okay, so what are they closer to? The team that we saw week 1 and 2, or that thing in New York?
Yeah, I think it was an outlier, what we saw Thursday, with the sloppiness in terms of tackling, a lot of missed tackles. And I think that I think they've shown that they can play sort of buttoned up. We're not going to kill ourselves with turnovers and penalties. It's been 3 games. That hasn't been a huge problem for the most part. But what I think is also shown is they just don't have the horses, especially offensively, to compete and, to protect the passer, to get open. I used the kind of phrases today on our show about, we could talk about Alex Van Pelt and schemes we want. And I listened to Greg yesterday, which basically was really funny because it was almost a repeat of the show that we had right before. I couldn't agree more with Greg about Alex Van Pelt and the fit for May. But right now, in the immediate, I just have a hard time blaming him when they can't block the guys. When the guys that are rushing are better than the guys blocking, and the guys that are covering are better than the guys going out, and the quarterback isn't as good as the guys defending him. I don't know how many different schemes you can come up with. Could it be better? Yeah, but right now I think they're just undermanned.
How much closer are we getting to seeing Drake Maye?
I think it's getting closer, and I'm starting to wonder.
What do you base that on?
I'm starting to wonder if there's a little bit of a difference of opinion. I think that maybe, some of the players and Gerard Mayo might be looking at this and saying, hey, Alex, is he getting closer? Mayo talked about him practicing well again today. He mentioned just a feel. I mean, I'm not telling you anything. I don't have Mazz's, watch. No one's told me, hey, be on the lookout next week or 2 weeks, whatever. I just get the impression from listening to some people, kind of poking around in the locker room a little bit. I think that May has something that has impressed his teammates, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's around the corner.
Okay. Go ahead, Mazz.
No, so I was going to say, so Paul, these guys the players are seeing it in practice then is what you're saying.
I would think, yeah. Yeah, and
I mean, that's a big step, right?
And Gerard talked today again. I think Mike Giardi asked a nice follow-up in the middle of some veteran, you have any interest in a veteran quarterback talk. Yeah. And Mike Giardi says it's still a 70-30 split. And Gerard said, yeah, and that's with the ones. And I thought that was an interesting sort of differentiation. We're not just counting everything. He's obviously doing scout team stuff as well, which he can learn and develop in. And my guess is that he's making some throws with the scout team and whatnot, off platform, sort of, improvising, and he's showing
out a little bit. You think?
Now, and I think the flip side of that, the counter to that for Alex Van Pelt is, mentally, is he seeing it in the film room and doing those kinds of things? My guess is he's probably still a little ways away there, but I don't know. Just a feel I have, guys, that I think there's some momentum.
Interesting. Why do you think Alex Van Pelt might be a bad fit for Drake Maye, or his system might be a bad fit?
Yeah, and I listened to Greg a little bit yesterday, and I kind of I just think a predominantly under center run oriented offense to me does not necessarily accentuate the skills of Drake Maye. And it was like when we talked about Jaden Daniels, I thought it was even more so. It's kind of a waste of some of that ability that I just mentioned. The ability to get outside the pocket. And I guess that's where the Jets last week surprised me the most was Rodgers moving around. It looked like it was 3 years ago, those kinds of throws. Drake Maye can play like that. He can get outside the pocket and the play's not over. He can make plays. He has the arm talent and the ability to run. So I don't know if that's what Van Pelt wants. I think he wants to have everything predicated on the running game and then play action shots. I think it might be tough to ask Drake Maye to be under center 75-80% of the time. And I'm not necessarily sure that's the best use of his skill set.
Do you think they understand that? One of the things Greg said yesterday is that what he would be doing is he would, while they're playing out here with Jacoby Brissett and ramping up, that he'd have someone working with Drake Maye with his own package. Here's a set of plays. I would assume predominantly shotgun, not this zone running, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You have a Drake, you start really tailoring an offense for Drake Maye, and they'd be working on it now.
And remember back to the Eagles preseason game, the second one, there was a lot of that stuff.
Right.
All of a sudden they put like a little college package together for him. He was in the shotgun. He's taking shots down the field. It wasn't just handing the ball off. It wasn't just play action. So I do wonder if maybe there's some of that going on. I think it would make some sense if they did it that way, so, for sure.
So, Paul, with the way the offensive line performed against the Jets, one of the things we said last week was the idea of putting Maye in there is not an issue of his health. It's that if the line is that bad, he will get sped up, forced into bad habits. Like developmentally, it's a negative.
Yep.
How do they overcome that if they put him in there?
Yeah, well, I think that it was obviously a ridiculously small sample size, but I think you saw some of it. Like the first play couldn't have been much worse, right?
A joke.
So he goes in there, he's sped up, he throws the ball right to a linebacker. But then, a few plays later, he's sped up and he's like hitting to Mario Douglas on 4th and 10. So I think there's value in having him make some mistakes. At the risk of getting back into our, months-long argument now.
Years.
Like Caleb Williams, Caleb Williams is still making mistakes. He's still a long way away. But the guy in week 3 was light years better than the guy in week 1. He still turned the ball over 3 times, but he threw for 363 yards. What you have to hope if you're Chicago is eventually those mistakes become less and less and the plays stay. Like right now what the Patriots offense is getting, there's no mistakes, but no plays. I would kind of like to see it with a couple of plays mixed in and see if those can outweigh the mistakes that are never. And I fully admit, if Drake Maye plays full time, you're going to start turning the ball over.
Do you think this is an abandonment of their plan or an adjustment to what they originally forecast?
I don't know for sure. I don't think so. Now, if it was like all of a sudden he plays this week or next week, maybe you could say that's a little earlier than I thought. I would have thought more like mid-season, but I don't know if they necessarily had a fast and ready plan for X date. I don't think they wanted him to play right away. I think they've accomplished that.
And you think Van Pelt's the one that needs the nudging?
I think, yeah, that's just my feel. I think that Van Pelt is looking at Brissett as the safe guy. He's not going to turn it over. He's going to give us a shot. He's going to get us in the right play more often than not. And I just think that all that stuff might be true, but he's also not going to give you the amount of production that you need to really be competitive week in and week out.
You hear this, folks? A high-ranking member of the Patriots organization has told us the clock has started to tick on Drake Maye. Or Jacoby Brissett, however you want to phrase that.
I don't know how these things happen.
There is a ticking clock, and we are getting to the witching hour for Drake Maye.
Wow.
According to a high-ranking member of the Patriots organization.
That's a great headline for a web story.
Yeah. No, I can.
It writes itself.
You can probably already see it. No, but, were you guys surprised to see Maye at the end of the game the other night?
No.
I was a little bit.
No,
I was a little bit, especially with the left tackle and left guard out.
Yeah, given what a sieve the offensive line was,
right.
I was a little
This
bit.
whole thing about we can't play him because of the offensive line, and then he's out there, and I think it was great. I have no criticism whatsoever on Gerard Mayo to put him out there. I think that's how you learn. I'm not telling you just pull the plug and it's got to be Drake Maye the rest of the way. I'm not saying that. But if you want to see what he is, I don't know how you do that strictly on the practice field.
Oh, well,
you got to find out.
Okay, well, that we disagree on. But who was it that Bill got criticism for? Like did he never sub in Stidham? Wasn't it Stidham?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Stidham the Cam Newton year.
Yes.
Where there would be these games where you had clearly lost in the fourth quarter, and it's like, well, why don't you start throwing the other guy in there just to start to see?
Well, why don't you start him one of those games when that season was lost?
But I'm saying, like, I get the sense a lot of things that Mayo is doing is just because Bill didn't, or we're doing something different, and I'm going to take. Here's a clear mop-up case where you just, get him some snaps, get him out there. The other guy didn't do it, but I'm going to do it. That's what I was thinking in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, but did he not play Stidham in mop-up?
I don't remember, so
I thought he did.
I'm saying this out loud. Like, I can't remember. I thought there was.
We bitched about it.
I was frustrated that he wasn't starting because it was clear you were going nowhere with Cam Newton.
Or was it Zappy that he didn't give him up? Like, he wouldn't give him up.
No,
it was
Stidham.
You're 100%
You got it
right. It was Stidham.
Yeah, I think he was doing that out of loyalty to Cam Newton.
Yeah, remember, he got asked about it and got, like, hyper-defensive about it,
but
too.
that was he kept it being asked if he was going to make a change. I think that there were some games that Stidham mopped up.
He did, yeah. I just can't remember.
Similar to the other night. Like maybe
the Chargers game. I think he got in there.
A game or two that was lost, and they just threw Stidham out there to finish it up.
Well, either way, you heard it from Paul Perillo. Here comes Drake Maye.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Mazz here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.